Noorsign Books presents Ramadan Miracles, Stories of Faith Found in the Ordinary. The Color of Suhoor, Part 2, The Colors That Won't Lie. Nour bin Ali is 10 years old, an artist, and the quiet witness to her family's silent fractures. As she paints their pre-dawn meal, her brush begins to reveal truths her heart has tried to hide, and the colors refuse to lie. The next afternoon, the art room was almost empty. Most of the class had escaped to the courtyard, chasing thin winter sun. Two boys argued over whose drawn football was better. A girl in the corner glued sequins to a cutout lantern. By the window, Nour sat alone. In front of her, the thick watercolor paper. Beside it, a white plastic palette with shallow wells. In the middle, a jar of clean water and the school's tired paint tin. Little squares of color, scuffed but willing. "Start with the light," Madame had said before leaving for the headmistress's office. "Always with the light. Washes first, details later. Let the paper drink." Nour dipped her brush. Water beaded on the bristles. She touched it to the yellow pan. Pigment bloomed outward. She hovered for one breath over the blank sheet. Then, first stroke. A pale circle appeared, centered above where the table would be. She widened it, feathering the edges, letting the yellow soak and expand. The bulb over the suhoor table, the heart of the hour. While it dried, she mixed a soft brown for the wooden table, testing it on scrap. Then she followed the faint pencil oval she'd drawn last night. Her first sketch had been too neat, chairs perfectly aligned, like a catalog. She'd erased and redrawn until some chairs angled, one pushed back a little more. She tried not to think whose. The brush whispered, brown spread. The table took its place. She added the brass dates bowl next, just a circle for now, leaving bright white for reflections. As she painted, classroom sounds blurred. The boys' argument, the sequins girls' muttering, the shriek from the corridor, sank beneath the soft swish of brush on paper. When she painted, the world always shrank to whatever was under her hand. Hadida in its pot, the some men on a plate, the stove, faint doorway lines to the courtyard. Only the people were missing. They felt dangerous.
A shadow fell across the desk. "You've been working hard," Madame's voice said. Nour almost dropped her brush. "I didn't hear you." "Good," Madame smiled. "You were hearing the painting." She bent over the page. "May I see?" Nour slid it toward her. The scene was bare but clear now. Lamp, table, chairs, the suggestion of the fountain through the doorway. The light's soft circle glowed. "This is your suhoor table," Madame said. "Yes," Nour's fingers curled under the desk. "I wanted to paint that hour." "The hour before," Madame repeated, eyes flicking to Nour's face. "A brave choice. Most will paint lanterns, mosques, moons, easier lights." "I want it to be beautiful," Nour said. Madame's smile turned sad. "Beauty and truth are not enemies, Habibati, only when we force them." She tapped the air above the paper. "You can have both. Take your time." She moved on. Nour breathed out and finally began on the figures. She started with herself. It felt safest. A small girl at the end of the table, hair in braids, profile turned slightly toward the viewer, eyes wide, hand resting on the cloth, as if feeling that the table was real. She gave her own painted face a simple look, not quite happy, not quite sad, watching. Next, her siblings, blocks of color first. Hamza's green shirt, Salma's patterned scarf, Amina's dark hair drawn back, Samir's hunched shoulders. Then Hafsa. Her mother's profile emerged in light lines, cheek, nose, chin. Nour mixed a warm brown for skin, a softer pink for lips. She left the eyes for last. She'd drawn Hafsa often, usually with big magazine eyes and perfect smoothness. Now, she tried to paint what she actually saw at 3:47, faint shadows, fine lines at the corners, a mouth that bent more often in tiredness than laughter. She added the eyes, dark brown with a tiny dot of white. She leaned back. The face was her mother, but not the Suhoor mother she'd wanted. The mouth almost smiled. The eyes didn't. The white highlight looked too wet, as if swallowed tears sat just out of sight. The same look she'd seen last night at the sink, seconds before Hafsa had broken. Nour's chest tightened. Maybe if she softened the shadows? She rinsed the brush, thinned the brown, glazed over the purple under eyes. The shadows dulled, but did not leave. Watercolor always remembered. Color sank into paper the way words sank into rooms. She dabbed in more yellow on the cheeks. The skin glowed a bit warmer. The tiredness in the eyes stayed. Her fingers shook. "No," she whispered. "In this painting you're supposed to be okay." She tried to tilt the mouth more upward, lifting pigment with a merely dry brush. The paper, already damp, blurred instead. The smile smudged. She swallowed hard and moved to Karim.
Her father's profile came easier. The strong nose, the thinning hair at his temples, the curve of his stubbled jaw. She'd sketched him once asleep on the couch, mouth half open, arm over his eyes. Hafsa had laughed and said, "You're cruel." Now she pictured him at Suhoor, how he looked down at his plate more than at them, how that line between his eyebrows refused to leave. She'd already drawn his chair at a slight angle. She didn't remember deciding that, but there it was, turned a few degrees away from the table. She considered erasing, left it. It's just to make the picture less straight, she told herself. Her brush shaded his shoulders, leaning marginally back, away from the table's center. It felt honest. By the time the bell rang, the painting held more of them. Hafsa with the tired, almost smile. Karim leaning away. The children in between. The yellow lamp had dried darker, like honey, but the room felt cooler than her memory. Shadows gathered under the table, in the corners, along Karim's back. Blues and grays had crept in where she hadn't planned them. Nour frowned. "Time, Nour," Madame called from the door. 5 more minutes, Nour asked quickly. 10, Madame said after a beat. "Don't drown it. Sometimes the painting knows it's finished before we do." When the room was almost empty, Nour stood looking down. Her painted mother watched her from the paper, eyes too knowing. "Why won't you smile?" she whispered. "Because you drew me as I am," a small, unaffordable voice inside answered. "Not as you wish." Her throat burned. "I won't paint the fights," she told the paper. "I won't. I won't paint Mama crying or Baba's back on the couch. You will be beautiful. I won't let you be anything else." On the page, nothing changed. Her mother's shadows stayed. Karim's chair kept its angle. The empty chair, Yusef's, sat in bright, untouched white. Earlier, she'd tried a faint shape in that chair, a ghost of blue. It had looked all wrong. She'd lifted it away. The paper there was thin now, rubbed. She picked up the brush again and painted the softest hint of shadow under the empty seat. Her hand trembled. The jar of water wobbled when she set the brush down. "Nour?" Amina's voice floated in. "Madame said you're here. Mama's waiting." Nour wiped her eyes fast. At the door, Amina glanced at the painting with teenage carelessness. "Wow, there's a lot of food," she said. She didn't see. Nour almost felt relieved. They walked home through the hot alleys, past frying onions and the first honey smell of shabakia. At Riyad's door, Nour's fingers lingered for a moment on the cool studded wood. Inside, the air felt thick. Hafsa sat on the dry fountain's edge. No fabric in her lap, no needle, just a cold tea glass and red-rimmed eyes. "Are you okay?" Nour asked, the words too small. "I'm fine," Hafsa said, too fast, smile not reaching anywhere. "Tired. Come help with iftar." It was the same almost smile Nour had just painted. She wanted to say, "Mama, even when I try to paint you happy, the sadness shows." Instead, she nodded and went to wash her hands. In the days that followed, the painting darkened. So did the house.
It didn't happen in one big disaster. It came in waves. A fight between Hamza and Salma over socks in the sink and who was the man of the house. Words like hotel and abandoned and he ran away flew. Samir's football thudded hopelessly into the fountain wall. A call from school. Samir caught smoking on the roof. A suspension letter folded into sharp quarters. Hafsa's voice breaking. "He is drowning and we are fighting over who throws the rope." Yusuf's voice over the phone, thin with bad reception and worse news. "I don't think I can come for Eid al-Fitr this year, Mama." Excuses about work and money. Kareem's stiff, defensive silence. The word money thrown back and forth like a problem they could never solve. Each day, Nour went back to the art room. Each day, her hand betrayed what her heart tried to protect. When she painted Hamza, his jaw came out too tight, his shoulders hunched forward as if ready to swing. Salma's painted gaze cut sideways toward Hafsa, hand hovering between plate and shoulder, caught in permanent half-protection. Samir shrank on the paper, his head bent, his spoon grip blurred from so many reworked strokes that it became a white-knuckled fist. A faint coil of gray rose near his chair. Smoke, or just a shadow, she wasn't sure. The yellow from the lamp grew richer, but every layer of warmth deepened the contrast with the shadows gathering at the room's edges. Through the kitchen doorway, she found herself painting a thin gray crack on the tile of the fountain, just where it was in real life. She didn't remember deciding to. By the 20th day of Ramadan, even the paper felt tired, warped from washes, edges curling. Home felt the same. One afternoon, she found Hafsa sitting on the courtyard floor, back against the empty fountain, tea untouched. "I sat down to rest, and my body won't get up," Hafsa said plainly. "I don't know what else to do, ya Nour." Nour's hand had slipped into hers. "You see too much," Hafsa whispered, tears sliding. "I'm sorry." That night, back at her desk, Nour mixed a new thin violet gray and gently deepened the smudges under her painted mother's eyes, just a little. The face on the paper changed. It did not become ugly. It became unbearable. So true that it hurt to look. The 25th night of Ramadan, after Taraweeh, the house was finally quiet. Hafsa and the older girls stayed at the mosque for more raka'at. Kareem had gone home early with the boys. In the little bedroom, Nour unrolled her small prayer rug under the mashrabiya's softened light. She prayed 2 raka'at quickly, the familiar suhoor tumbling out. Then she stayed kneeling, palms open, fingers trembling. "Ya Allah!" The words stuck, tears pricked. "I don't know what to say." They came anyway. "I don't know how to fix anything. I don't know why they shout, why Baba sleeps on the couch, why Mama's hands shake, why Yusuf doesn't come, why Samir is angry, why Hamza and Selma look at each other like enemies." Her voice broke into hiccuped sobs. "I try to be good. I try to be quiet. I help. I painted them nice." A small, bitter laugh escaped. "I tried, but the painting doesn't want to be nice. It wants to be true. And I don't know if that's wrong. I don't know if I'm betraying them.
I just see. She pressed her forehead to the rug. Please, fix them. Fix us. I don't care how. I don't care if we're poor forever. Just make them stop hurting each other. Make the house breathe. I am so tired. No lightning, no voice answered. Only the faint creak of wood somewhere and the far-off murmur of someone's Al-Qur'an in some other house. Still, something in her chest loosened, just a thread. She stayed there until sleep crept over her like a blanket. Sometime in the night, she half felt arms lifting her. Her cheek pressed against Hafsa's chest, heart beating under her ear. The smell of soap, sweat, and something like starch. A mattress, a sheet pulled up, fingers smoothing her hair, lips on her forehead. I'm sorry, a whisper in the dark, for all of it, for making you see. Nour tried to open her eyes, to say it's okay, but sleep held her. Down in the empty art room, under the high window, her painting dried on the table. The colors fixed themselves into the paper. The truth she had poured there would not lift out easily now. By the 26th day, she had made up her mind. She would not enter the contest. The decision came while she brushed her teeth, foam blurring her reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror. I won't do it, clear as fresh water. The painting was too raw, too revealing. It held moments no one had agreed to display. Her father's turned back, her mother's tired eyes, Yusuf's empty chair, the gray shadows she hadn't meant to paint. If teachers and parents stared and thought, what a sad family, she would never stand it. If her own parents saw it, her stomach turned. She would ask for a new sheet, paint lanterns, a mosque, a perfect crescent over a sea she'd never seen. Something safe, something pretty, something that did not tell on anyone. At Suhoor, she sat quieter than usual. Hafsa spoke in shorter sentences. Karim chewed mechanically. Last days, he muttered, not sure to whom. They go fast. Nour repeated in her mind as if in dhik, I will not show it. I will not. At break that day, she slipped into the art room, took the key from its hook, and closed the door behind her. The painting waited on the table, edges curled, the lamps yellow deeper, the crack on the fountain clear. It's beautiful, a voice said. She spun. Madame, I don't want to enter, she blurted. Madame looked at her, then at the painting, then back. Come, she said, gently. They sat, the painting a third presence between them. Why not? Madame asked. It's... Nour's nails dug into her palms. It's ugly. Madame's brows lifted. Ugly? Not like that, she rushed. I mean, it shows things, sad things. I wanted to paint the light of Ramadan. I wanted it to be happy, but it's dark. Madame studied it silently. What you have painted is Ramadan, she said at last. This hour, this hunger, this patience, these weights. Her finger hovered over Hafsa's face. Ramadan is not just lanterns and sweets. But the theme is light, Nour insisted. This makes us look broken. Do you think your family is bad? Madame asked quietly. No, they're just tired, angry, sad, and I love them, even when they're like that. Then that is what you have painted, Madame's voice softened. Not shame, love under strain, truth. I didn't mean to, Nour whispered. I wanted to paint them better. Our hands tell truths our mouths cannot, especially when we are 10. She hesitated, then slid a card from her folder. I must tell you something, she said. I have already submitted it. The world tilted. What? Nour's voice was thin. I should have told you sooner, Madame said, but I feared you would tear it up.
I believe in this painting, Nour. If I am wrong, that is my sin, not yours." "You tricked me," Nour whispered, hurt flaring. "You're supposed to help me." "I am trying." Madame's voice held both apology and firmness. "You walk like you are carrying buckets of water no one can see, buckets that are not yours. Let this paper carry some of it. Let them see what you see." "They'll be angry," Nour said, tears heating. "Maybe, or hurt, or ashamed, or grateful, or all." Madame's gaze didn't waver. "But listen carefully. None of this is your fault. Not their fights, not their silences, not this painting. You didn't create the problem. You reflected it. Grown-ups are responsible for what they do with what they see, not a child." A tear slid down Nour's cheek. "When I was your age," Madame added quietly, "I hid my sketchbook under my mattress. I thought hiding my drawings of my father drunk and my mother swallowing her words would protect them. It only trapped me. It helped no one. I will not ask you to hide like that." She took out a pen. "If you truly cannot bear it, I will find a way to lose it. But I think," she looked at the painting again, "I think Allah has already used your hand for something. Maybe we should not run from that." Nour felt pulled apart, half wanting to rescue her parents' image, half desperate for someone else to finally admit that things were not fine. She nodded once, sharp. "Okay," she whispered. What okay meant, she wasn't sure. Madame's shoulders eased. "Have you thought of a title?" she asked. Only one had ever fit. "Suhoor," Nour said. Madame wrote it at the bottom in graceful Arabic. Then she held out the pen. "Sign your name, artist." Hand shaking, Nour wrote Nour Ben Nali. Then beneath, Nour Ben Nali. The name looked both too small and too loud. "Go help your mother now," Madame said softly. "I'll take care of the rest." That night, beneath her blanket, Nour whispered to the ceiling, "Maybe Allah will make the painting disappear." The ceiling remained blank, and the 27th night of Ramadan crept closer.
You've been listening to Ramadan Miracles, a Noorsign Books original. Sometimes the most honest art isn't what we intend to create, but what our hands reveal when we're not looking. Nour's painting is now out of her hands, a fragile truth sent into the world. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next miracle. Visit Noorsignbooks.com to join our community and get the full collection. Jazakumullah khairan.